Okay, so what were your dreams and goals?
When I was growing up, I first wanted to be a veterinarian, but I soon learned that was going to be too hard, and I was not going to be a veterinarian because it's just as hard as being a doctor. I didn't think too much about my future when I was growing up. You know, I pretty much always just thought about where I was and where I was going.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to college. I wanted to find a career that I'd be happy in. I wanted to explore and travel and do lots of different things.
Okay. How did your early years influence the choice you made as an adult?
Okay, so I mean, I had a mother and a family who was very active civically. They were very civic-minded, and they were involved in their communities, and they were very involved in trying to make the world a better place for other people. So that was always something that was in the back of my mind, was to do things that were not just about me, but about other people as well, finding worthwhile things to do.
Okay.
Not taking the easy road.
Yeah. Okay. Can you describe the ways in which you are engaged in your community?
Well, I mean, my community being Brooklyn, I'm engaged as a teacher here in Brooklyn. Being involved in future generations, trying to shape and mold future generations. I've also been involved in the community of the world in lots of different ways. Not only as a teacher, but also through travel and through, I was involved in setting up schools in other countries.
How did that work out? Setting up schools in other places like that?
That was interesting. I spent a summer in Nicaragua working with a friend of mine to open up a school for orphans in the country of Nicaragua. So that was an interesting experience. It worked out pretty well.
Can you describe one of your experiences while you were in Nicaragua?
One of my experiences while in Nicaragua, there were so many. Just working with kids, anywhere from 5 years old to 17 years old who'd never been in school before, who never had any formal education, and trying to just to teach them and to see their eyes open when you show them a map of the world, and learning for the first time where they are in relationship to other places that they've heard.
Yeah. Who or what inspired you to take action?
Take action. I think I mentioned earlier that my family was very involved. My mother has always been very civically minded and civically active, very involved in politics. Her activism was not always local, but was more international and global, and trying to take on large political issues. During the Civil Rights Movement, she went down to the South and taught in schools when schools were segregated. She taught in all-black schools. She was very involved in politics in the 80s, and so I was growing up around very politically active people, so she inspired me to take action.
Okay. What is your greatest accomplishment as a civic activist?
I was involved in setting up this school and getting this school off the ground. I think that was certainly one of my greatest accomplishments.
Okay. In what way do you think you've changed this school as a civic activist?
What ways have I changed this school? I mean, I was really involved heavily from the beginning in making this a school of urban planning, setting up the curriculum, in bringing in people who wanted to teach urban planning and urban issues, and wanting to teach in a school where students became more civically active. So while I think that everybody here has done a part of that, I like to think that when we were setting up the school, we set up the conditions that made it possible for that to happen and for that to flourish. I don't want to take too much credit.
How has your choice to become engaged changed your life?
How has it changed my? I don't think it's changed my life, because that's how my life has always been. I think it's made my life more fulfilled and richer. I get to meet lots of different people. I get to have lots of different experiences. I've gotten to travel all over the world. I think if I wasn't civically active, I might be richer, wealthier than I am. But it's sort of the way I've always been.
Yeah. What advice would you give to young people regarding civic engagement?
I don't know. Think locally. Think globally. Act locally. Think about the big problems that are facing the world, and think about what you can do to make little changes either in your community or somewhere else.
What is something you're working on now as a civic activist? Like, something that you would like to see change in, like, the world or in the United States as, like,
you know, working here, I think we're single-mindedly focused on education. And something I'm involved in now is trying to improve public education in New York City, to make public schools more responsive to the needs of students, to help public schools prepare students for the 21st century and for what they're really going to need to do when they get out of here. That's sort of a singular focus of mine right now.
Alright, well, thank you for being a great interviewee.
My pleasure.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Vias. And